Hello, welcome back to this commander build video. I've been asked by some of my viewers and also some of the people I play with to make sort of a guide or a video as to how I build my commanders and what's the reason behind it and on which vehicles I would use them. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. I will be using the website CSB Hype, which is a free to use website where you can check out commander builds. And you can check out all the different combinations possible and then decide for yourself what you want to use in game, or if you even want to buy the commander at all. Because you can also preview all of the premium commanders here. So the way this is gonna work is I'm first gonna run down all the commanders, and I will show you a build that I think can work for that particular commander if I think there is one. And then afterwards I will open a spreadsheet and rank them as to which commander I think is most suited for which playstyle, and also a few vehicle specific commanders that can work in specific situations. So let's kick it off with Alexander Cortez. Alexander Cortez is all about his chance of dealing max damage, and combined with the fixed position skills and also the pot shot, you're pretty much gonna high roll every single shot. This is the typical commander I would use on vehicles that need, or at least that have a high alpha damage, or vehicles that need every shot to count. So for example, a Leo 2AX, where you have a lot of penetration but your survivability is pretty bad. There you kind of want every shot to high roll, so you at least get maximum amount of damage out of the time that you're alive. Also a disclaimer, I am mainly a PvP and Glops player, meaning that all of the builds I will be discussing here might not be relevant for PvE as much as they are for PvP. But since you've been watching most of my videos, you probably already know that I'm mostly a PvP player. So yeah, this would be my build for Alexander Cortez. He's one of the very few commanders I don't own yet, but the reason behind this build would just be max damage, a little bit of reload, and also some hit points for your cannon, so at least your gun can keep working. Alyssa Coronan is another premium commander. This one I actually own. For the longest time I've been using this build, meaning you get some extra acceleration, extra ammo, extra hit points, and a little bit of extra accuracy or less penalty, meaning you pretty much get better accuracy. Alyssa is pretty much my go-to Spec Ops commander, so this is going to be the only PvE main commander we're going to be talking about. This is not the commander I would typically use as a first pick in any PvP scenario, but the extra amount of ammo is very useful in long or prolonged PvE and Spec Ops games. Andrei Zaitsev, the camper commander. This is a commander that gives extra bonuses for sitting still, and especially also bonuses for TDs. So this is the typical commander you will use for a gun TD, sitting all the way in the back and just sniping, or even missile TDs. I've actually used them on the Hellfire. Yeah, so there's not much more to it. This is the way I would build him for maximum camping capabilities. I jumped over Anthony Diaz because I don't have Anthony, so I don't know how I would use them. Austin Harper is a very interesting commander in my opinion. He has a lot of Firestorm or Fire and Sword skills, meaning you give both yourself and your enemy a lot more damage. So 5%, I mean it's not a lot, but it's a 5% steady damage bonus. Also your reload increases if your teammates die, so this is pretty much a PvE or PvP only commander. But it's a commander that's very useful on, if you for example don't have Cortez, it's a pretty useful commander, or it's also useful on tanks like an MGM. Douglas OReilly. Douglas OReilly is pretty much one of the best MBT commanders in this game, and it's one that everybody can get by unlocking it through the cow. His main skills are that he increases reload, he decreases your camo, so it's not a typical AFV commander, and he makes you a little bit slower. But he has all kinds of damage bonuses and also a very good HP bonus of 10.5%, which means you're going to be surviving longer, and you will, in the end, do more damage because of that as well. Anatoly Oconnell, the best AFV or light tank commander if you're talking about spotting and staying hidden. Her main skill is that you spot better behind foliage, so you spot better through bushes, plants, trees and stuff. And she also has quite a few foliage camo increases. Something that's interesting about foliage camo factor increase is that it actually stacks with adaptive camo systems like the BL01, the Ghost, CV9120, even the AS21. And yeah, Aaron also gives a lot more camo factors, also if you're not close to friendly vehicles. So overall, the best spotting commander in my opinion. Freja Hoiberg is just an arty commander. Fyodor Sokolov is just something you can grind. It's one of those commanders, just as Maxim Koenig, they give you extra XP per battle. So it doesn't really matter how you build them. It's just good for your grind. Gia Chiklory, it's an old commander and it hasn't been reworked, so it's in my opinion not worth grinding him at all. Johannessana is interesting because you can have two different builds that are pretty valid. The one I've shown here is a spotting build. It has pretty much everything. You have a little bit of extra view range, you have a little bit of extra firing or reload speed. When the enemy is spotted, you have a little bit of spotting ability, a little bit of foliage camo, and a little bit of normal camo. So overall, the Johannessana is a very nice free-to-play spotting commander. George Alvarez is one of those premium commanders that gives you a little bit of extra credit income. But in my opinion, he's worse than Fyodor Sokolov because he gives a lot less experience. I mean, credits, especially when you get to end game, is not a problem in this game. You can easily grind credits. So I wouldn't waste 2,000 gold on getting him. Joshua Seagrove was a reward. Juan Carlos Miramon is a free-to-play spotting commander that everybody can get. This is how I would build him. I know some people would want to go through the middle to get the full contact, but as I try to keep my distance anyways in my spotters, I don't think that getting the reload speed if an enemy is close is really useful. But some people think that's the case. Catherine Gray was another reward. This is how I would build her if I would have her, but I don't. Quanhan is a very interesting commander for the K2. I go with maximum potshot, all of the potshot skills, which pretty much means your maximum damages goes up by 5% per skill, but also your minimum damage. So it's pretty much like World of Tanks RNG factor, and you increase that by a lot. The reason that works on the K2 is because K2 gets designate target, which means all of the AP rounds that strike that target are going to do max damage, meaning you're going to do a lot more damage per clip if you use Quanhan. Maximilian Koenig is the other XP grind commander, just like Fyodor Sokolov, and it doesn't really matter how you build him. Olivia Bouchard is another gold sink. Don't use your 2,000 gold on this. It's the exact same thing as George Alvarez, and it's not worth your money. Now to the best commander in game overall in PvP game modes. Ophelia Kitescu. The one reason Ophelia Kitescu is very good is because she has a shield. So once per battle, when the hit points are depleted, Ophelia activates her shield for 5 seconds. Meaning you can't be killed unless people do enough damage to your shield. And after the shield's expired, you are left alive on 1 HP, with all of your armor packages replenished, all of your ammo replenished, but you're 1 HP. The reason this is so strong is because in the period of 5 seconds that your shield is up, you can usually kill the enemy that fought you to begin with, meaning you might survive to see another day. Ophelia has two very good builds. The the build I'm using here is mostly for damage output. So you have reload speed when you're spotted, you have reload speed when you're driving, you have a little bit more reload speed here, you have protection while you're driving, you have acceleration skills, turning skills, and accuracy while moving, vision range a little bit. But yeah, this is for me the best aggressive build for Ophelia. If I would want to have a little bit more of a passive build, I would probably go through the middle like this, up there, and go for the double view range skills, because even though your camo goes down by 8% because of this, an MBT doesn't really have enough camo to stay hidden to begin with. So then having the extra 30 meters view range on top of the 17 means you get a 47 meter view range boost. And also I switched out the repairs there, so you get moving a little bit quicker in case you get tracked. So yeah, overall this is the best commander in the game in my opinion for PvP and Glops game modes, and definitely worth getting your hands on. Philip Holtzclaw is the starter commander. I wouldn't recommend using him on anything, but if you have to, this is the way I would build him. Rachel Kramer, a very nice starter commander for aggressive MBT gameplay, mainly because of her main skill, giving you more reload when there's enemies close, and also reload boosts if you destroy enemy modules. So overall pretty nice starter commander for aggressive gameplay. Rashid Alatassi is one of those missile yeeter commanders, but overall he's not the best pick for most tanks. Sabrina Washington. This is a commander that works mainly around module damage, works very nicely with big alpha damage rounds, with heat rounds, hash rounds, fish rounds. And it's one of the better picks you can put on a Challenger 2 ATDU if you're shooting Pish. Viktor Kirsanov is one of the other close or early game commanders. I personally don't use him on anything anymore. So yeah, you could try and make a meme build for like infantry maximization. You get like 10% extra infantry stats. So that's alright if you want to do infantry missions, but I usually just buy those for gold. And Vincent Girard, the last one, is a sort of mid-game MBT commander. It gives you a lot of extra HP, meaning you will survive longer, and but his main skill is that you reload faster if you deflect damage, instead of Douglas's always like a steady reload bonus. But the thing is, Vincent doesn't make your tank slower. So, and especially with this skill acceleration boost, you will feel a lot more nimble. So that kind of comes down to your own preference. Then we can go to the spreadsheet. So now we're on the spreadsheet. It's kind of straightforward. Down here you have the vehicle playstyles, and here you have my number 1, 2, 3, or 4th pick. The reason I've gone by playstyle and not by tank mostly is because everybody plays tanks differently. Yeah, so to begin with, a defensive MBT playstyle. Douglas OReilly is, in my opinion, the best pick there because Ophelia Kitescu really benefits from driving and being on the move, and Douglas OReilly just gets bonuses for sitting still to his damage, and also his extra view range is not dependent on any movement whatsoever. Same counts for his reload bonuses. So Douglas, Ophelia, Vincent is nice because of the extra HP, and Alyssa, and also the fact that you don't lose mobility as much. So on slow tanks, Vincent might be better than Douglas, but then again, for me the DPM always beats Vincent. And then lastly you have Alyssa Corona that also gives extra HP. Aggressive MBT gameplay. Ophelia Kitescu, hands down the best pick. The DPM build is the build that I showed you first, and the Ophelia Kitescu view range build is the one that I showed second. Douglas O'Reilly is, I mean, he reduces your acceleration a little bit, but the extra HP and DPM are still very useful in brawls. Rachel Kramer as well, more reload when you get close to enemies, and Sabrina Washington is overall just to do a little bit more module damage, maybe track people easily, break their guns, whatever. Then we have light tanks. Erin O'Connell is your #1 pick there, hands down, because of all of her camo bonuses, meaning you will stay hidden longer. Juan Carlos Miramon and Johannessana are both good spawning commanders because they give a little bit of everything, a little bit of foliage camo, a little bit of spawning through foliage, and a little bit of camo and view range. Then you have Side Chef, which is just to sit in the back and camp. AFVs. AFVs, you have Erin O'Connell. Just, again, camo, staying hidden is one of the most important things in AFVs. Then you have the same free-to-play commanders here. And you have Victor Kirsanov in case you want to go for a full infantry meme build. Just a heads up, the bold font on these commanders mean they're premium commanders. The normal font are commanders everybody can grind. Next, gun TDs. Gun TDs are typically the Centauro series and a few mid-tier TDs. Here I like using Erin O'Connell because she gives camo always and not just when sitting still, meaning you can get in and out of position more stealthy as well. Rather than Side Chef, which gives you an insane camo bonus when sitting still, but the moment you move, the camo bonus disappears. But it kind of depends on your playstyle. If you're more of a mobile gun TD driver, then Erin is the better pick. If you like sitting in the back, Andre is better. Other than that, you have Alyssa Coronan, which gives you a lot more ammo, meaning you can just blind fire and you don't have to worry about your ammo. Or Sabrina Washington for certain TDs, because certain TDs have like good heat rounds or Pele rounds or whatever. Aggressive TD playstyles, typically like T15, GAU 8. Ophelia is just the best because of her shield, because of the bonuses when driving. Rachel is very nice for more reload as well if you don't have Ophelia, but Ophelia beats her in pretty much every regard. Sabrina Washington, so you can break tracks more easily, and Douglas O'Reilly, so you just survive a little bit longer even though you're slower. A passive TD missile playstyle, so like typically Hellfire or a FT10, you want to use, you want to stay hidden, so Erin O'Connell or Andre Zaitsev are your best picks there. Other than that, Rashid Al-Atassi you can use if you feel like the mobility on the missiles or the controllability, I must say, is a little bit too poor. But I would say I would rather go with Alyssa for the extra ammo in most cases. I don't think most TDs actually have a problem with their mobility. Artillery is as dead as you can imagine, so just don't play RT. I mean, you can't even play it in PvP, and even in Globs it's just horrible. For vehicle-specific commanders, on the ATDU you can use Sabrina Washington, because she will maximize your piss shell's potential of ammo wrecking tanks. You can use Austin Harper or Alexander Cortez for maximum AP damage, meaning you will roll for 1000 plus every single time. Or you can use the typical Ophelia Kitescu, Douglas O'Reilly. They just work on any MBT, to be honest. K2 Black Panther, that's the only place where I would use Quanhan, because the K2 Black Panther gets a designate target skill, which means every single AP round that strikes the designated target will do max damage, and Quanhan with my build is gonna do a lot more max damage, meaning you will roll for 3.4k damage every single AP clip. Then you have the typical MBT commanders after that. MGM. MGM benefits from having Austin Harper or Alexander Cortez because an MGM does more damage based on range, but with these commanders you can do more damage on closer ranges as well, meaning that your rockets are gonna do more per hit, which is very nice because an MGM has a very long reload once the clip is empty. Other than that, you can stay hidden with Aaron O'Connell or Andrei Zaitsev, or you can go with Sabrina Washington if you have none of these commanders, just for a little bit more module damage. Last but not least, MPF Light Tank. This is one of the light tanks that does not work around camo, so that's why I run it with Ophelia Kitescu with its Nera package and the hard kill APS. The aggressive playstyle, or at least the sort of almost MBT-like playstyle, really benefits from bringing MBT-like commanders like Ophelia Kitescu, Douglas O'Reilly. You could also use it for an aggressive spotting build, meaning you can use Johannessana or Juan Carlos Miramon. That's it for the spreadsheet. I hope this video was useful. And like I said, you can go back to the builds previously and just pause if you want to take a closer look. I would advise everybody to try out the CSB Hype website so you can check all of the commander builds and the different sort of skills available for yourself. That was it for me. See you next time, and thanks for watching.